Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. This is a brief conversation between me and Scott Russell on YouTube, made by one man is his channel. His take on Ed Leedskalnin. We don't get into this conversation. I let him know we were recording, and we just joked a little bit about Ed Leedskalnin show, bada do. Just a joke, but it's just us just haven't talked in a while. We get a little conversation, and what we always like to do when we talk is just kind of start, and then we move off to different topics. One thing I want to put out there to everybody, one thing I haven't seen in any of the formats out there on the webinet is any physics podcast or any different Ed Leedskalnin or any Tesla, any kind of conversations that Scott Russell and I have really excites me. So I'm looking to start a podcast out there. If anybody out there would be interested in being part of the podcast, I'd like to get a partner out there. That's Vinny St. Vincent at AOL.com is my internet, jokingly, Webernet. You can contact me there, but I'm looking for somebody that is very smart, intelligent. I don't really care if they're stuck in certain things in physics or just but they got to be smart, they got to be able to talk, and we have to have a good chemistry. And I want to start a podcast. If anything else I can ever say, Ed Leedskalnin had brought me to this place, and it'd be great to open topics, have people call in, and great conversation. It's something I would turn on at my work if I was working in a place where I can listen. And I'm excited. Great conversations on different parts of everything. Electrical, different troubadours in the past with Tesla, Maxwell, Faraday. You can go on and on and on. I got books out there. Anyway, this is a conversation between Scott Russell and myself. And if you're interested, leave your comments. Here we go.
I'm gonna sing. Leedskalnin babadoom babadoom babadoom. Leedskalnin babadoom babadoom.
Do. Here we go, the Ed Leedskalnin Show with Scott Russell from Vermont.
Okay, cut.
How's Scott Russell doing today?
Oh, we're still on?
No, we're on, bud.
Scott's freezing his butt off over in Vermont watching Lady Fiona come over and try to threaten the Puerto Rico.
You got to watch out for anybody named Fiona. It reminds me of a show I used to watch on Showtime, I think. I forget the name of it, but it was a family with no mom, and it was all brothers and sisters, and Fiona was Shameless, it was called. Great show. But her name is Fiona, and pretty name.
Yeah, well, isn't there a singer called Fiona Apple?
Yeah, and that's probably the second time I ever heard the name Fiona.
You're not talking about that song, My Fiona.
That was The Knack, and that was My Sharona.
I am so messing around, man.
I know, because you know the words. You're a singer, actually.
Something like that.
Hey, let's talk real quick about that energy, like Fiona. So she's let's talk about the energy that's driving Fiona right now. And then we'll talk about direction, because where I'm at, I'm up here in Northeast Florida, and they're already talking in this area about it reminiscing Matthew's path. So right now it's on the north side of Puerto Rico, and it's heading, and then it's going to turn and come up the coast of Florida. Is the projection so far, if I'm still correct. I haven't looked this morning, but that's what Matthew did, and it did a lot of water rise and a lot of wind damage. So let's talk about the energy.
You also know there's a big one on the west coast heading towards Alaska.
Ooh, I seen that this morning.
Yeah, so those are basically results of the Coriolis effect, where the Earth is turning and you've got a counterclockwise swirl north of the equator and a regular clockwise swirl south of the equator. And due to the fact that the sun heats the equator and it's turning in the direction that it's turning, it causes the Coriolis effect, which was actually done in a sphere in a lab, and they kind of turned it and did something to it, irradiated it, and caused the water to heat up in the middle. And of course, what's it going to do? It's going to, while it's turning, it's also going to warm up and expand and cause expansion, so it creates a swirl. And the swirl sometimes really focuses into a big one, thus a hurricane or a typhoon, and that's what we're dealing with. And not only that, if you look, Nova did a show on hurricanes, and they had a time-lapse NOAA photography of all the hurricanes in the past, and it was really cool because they slow-mode these hurricanes all the way from like 1940 since they've been recording them all the way up to now, and to see where they originate and how they basically travel, and then where they travel was quite impressive. It's all the same, you know. There's variety, of course, due to different densities in the atmosphere, but predominantly the Coriolis effect causes them to go from where they start right through where they're always going, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and then wham, either hit the coast or go up the side, but they do the same thing almost all the time.
So stop right there for a second.
You end up with one that cuts across like the last one there through the Yucatan Peninsula. And then once in a while, one will just sharply turn due to a front and head up the East Coast. But for the most part, they originate out there in the Atlantic and come our way.
That's where I was going. Stop right there. So the origination,
like opposite, I guess.
So the place of point of origin, we're going to call it, all right? We know that they're right outside Africa there. The conditions is prime, but they also do start in conditions over in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and they do start randomly out of nowhere, all right, just from the conditions being right. So that's what we're going to focus on right now with the energy. So now we just looked at the energy in a Russell type of way, to where it's now using the Earth for control mechanisms for the energy that's man can't control so far, but an energy that's immense. And then let's focus on the spot right now of where it's formulated, and let's think about how it's what's going on. Like when these guys drive their plane up above it and look down, they're already going in conditions that's either tropical or a named storm. So they're got to see different structures of power, of how the power's being made and how it's formed and everything. So as you go back in time, there's nothing there other than disturbance or the right conditions. Now let's talk about the conditions, because there's electrostatics, there's the Coriolis effect like you mentioned, there's also pressures. There's also the pressures that are thermal, because they're doing a separation. That's what Leedskalnin from Coral Castle had talked about in magnetic current, about, in a portion of is taking that energy and separating it and then
So most of what you
creating that
just said,
environment.
yeah, so let's break what you just said up a little. One thing you mentioned was thermal and physical, which is to me the same thing. So that's why when I was saying the sun hits the equator and the earth is turning, so there's your thermal and your physical tied together. The earth turning has nothing to do with the sun so far at all, or the heating or driving it or electromagnetically or any of that. It's swirling due to its own mass, and it's creating some sort of a vortex.
Motion. It's putting energy in
Coriolis
motion. It's putting
But
energy
wait
in
a
motion.
minute. Then you brought up electrostatic. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand for our audience and viewers is that actually they just discovered this like probably in the 80s or late 70s that sunspots, the reason they discovered the method. They knew it all along from the Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's Almanac was based on the 11-year cycle of sunspot activity. And so when the farmer comes up and says, oh yeah, 22-year cycle, and you think, okay, what the bleep is that now? And somebody says, well, because of the sunspot cycle, ionizes the upper atmosphere and causes cloud formations or not, that's when you go, okay, it's a mixed bag, just like everything else is. It's not just waves or waves. It's not just particles. It's both particles and waves. Well, in this case, it's both Coriolis effect and ionizing sunspot radiation telling our clouds to do whatever, wherever, and whenever. Have you ever looked at the Doppler radar and just seen clouds form out of nowhere? And some people will say, oh, well, there's a cold front, or there was a plume of energy came off that mountain. That's why it's always right there. Oh, no, that's lake effect snow. Yes, I get that. But there's other times when you look at it and you're going, no, this ain't any of that. This is actually the sun is beaming a wave right to that spot. The cloud is ionizing, changing form, like Reich's Buster, right?
The cloud buster.
Yeah, exactly. And then, or taking it away. And they know that. They actually know that now. That super sun activity it's actually inverse. You would think that cloud activity or sun activity would cause the clouds to go away, but it doesn't. I guess somehow more ionizing radiation causes it to fog up and be more precipitous instead of total clear with just oxygen and our nitrogen.
Precipitation would be what? A gathering?
The water precipitation, in this case is when water vapor that's highly energized into gaseous states starts to condense into something we can literally see.
All right, guys. So that's the first part of Mr. Scott Russell and myself talking. It gets a lot more deeper in detail as we warm up. The more we talk, the more we open up the dialogue on different parts. We jump very much into we jump very much into and out of Leedskalnin, some Tesla, and a lot of different things and topics that I don't just hear out there. So if you're interested, please leave your comments. I'm hoping to get a lot of comments back because I'm excited to do something like this and make it a daily show, have call-ins. And the call-ins to me is exciting because right now if you were calling in, we can actually talk and then we can have a three-way with whoever I decide to be my partner cohorts, sort of say, not partner, but sort of say partners in this podcast, and could say partner. And I think it'd be fascinating because we could go all over the place, and we could control it by topics. So leave your comments. Hopefully you like this video. Sorry about the air conditioning and cicadas are out. Please go to Benny St. Vincent at any of your music apps and check out my music. It's pretty cool. Hopefully you enjoy. There's all different genres. I'm all over the place. So, especially if you use TikTok and you use music for your TikTok videos, go to Benny St. Vincent on TikTok, and I have probably over 20 songs up there, and there's something there you can use on your video. Please use it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a great day.